Well, summer is here and we are in as much of a full-blown food plot mode as possible, getting ready for deer season moving forward. Here in the Northeast, we have been absolutely slammed with rain, so that has definitely put a damper on getting out into the fields and getting our food plots prepped. Hence why we're gonna do a little segment on how to maintain your perennial food plots. And this is super important to get longevity out of your clover plots. And that's what we're really gonna specifically key in on today. So we're gonna go over the 3 main things that you need to be doing throughout the year to be maintaining those perennial plots so you can get many years of being able to utilize that hard work and have a great plot to hunt over throughout the season. And like I said, we're gonna be focusing mostly on clover. So here are the 3 main things. You wanna be making sure you're mowing them at the right times. You wanna make sure that your soil health is good, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you are able to apply herbicides when necessary for grasses and broadleaves. So first, let's talk mowing. This is gonna be your cheapest way to maintain your clover plots and probably one of the most important, but you can make some fatal mistakes when doing this. And that can be, if you mow it way too short, it's gonna hurt your clover, especially during a drought time and in the heat of summer. That clover likes to be moist, and just completely mowing it really low is gonna be more detrimental than helpful. And when I say low, you wanna probably leave about 4 inches of clover when you're mowing that down. And the great thing about that is the deer absolutely love that new growth. So if you can time this with a rain or cooler temperatures right before hunting season, it times out. It works really good for those October sits. Also, mowing is a great way to control broadleaves. Broadleaves, usually you can knock them down once. They don't come back as heavy as like a grass or something like that. So mowing helps you contain some of the weed pressure, and it also revitalizes that clover to have more nutrients for the wildlife to use it. So mowing 2 to 3 times a year is usually ideal. Just like I said, try to plan that on a rain. You don't want to scorch it, and also not to mow it too low. Now, rolling off of mowing and being able to control some of the weeds with mowing, let's talk about herbicide application and how to attack that. The one thing that'll really choke out clover really fast is grass. So you can pick a grass selective herbicide. You can also spot spray for broadleaves with a clover safe spray or herbicide. Clethodim is a great grass selective herbicide that will kill the grasses out and will not kill the clover. The broadleaves and other weeds coming up in your clover, a lot of times you will see deer in there eating those weeds, we call them weeds, those natural forbs or whatever, forages that are coming up. It's not a terrible thing. If you're trying to have a great stand of purely clover, the herbicides are definitely gonna be your friends. For the broadleaves, there's a couple different sprays you can use. One is called Raptor. You can use Raptor as a broadleaf selective, and also IMOX is another broadleaf herbicide that you can use that won't hurt your clover. A lot of times with the broadleaves, it's usually a good idea to go in there and spot spray and not completely spray over the entire plot. You can just go in with a backpack sprayer and hit those spots that are, heavy with the broadleaves. You can also do the same thing with the clethodim. If you just have patches of grass throughout, you can spot spray it with the clethodim, and it'll help establish that clover and not have it get choked out by those grasses. So herbicide application is number 2 for maintaining a healthy clover plot. Like I said, we're talking about having strictly clover in here. And the third one is having good soil health. You want your soil to be between that 6 and 7 pH. Obviously, soil tests are important, but applying fertilizer with like a 0-20-20 is definitely gonna help with that phosphorus and potassium. Clover loves that, the soil loves that. You want it more in that neutral range for your clover plot. So really at the end of the day, your soil health is gonna be the most important thing, and deer are gonna gravitate to healthier soils, healthier plants coming up for them to eat. So that P and K is really gonna help with your root system of your clover. Clover fixes its own nitrogen, so you don't need to be worrying about nitrogen heavy fertilizers. All that's gonna do is really promote that vertical growth, which isn't terrible, but it's not necessary for clovers. You really want that good root system. You want that clover to be able to go out and spread and be able to compete with a lot of the weeds. Having a very healthy clover stand is gonna outcompete a lot of weeds because it's a broader leafed plant. It can shade stuff out, and really once it gets established, it does maintain really well. It maintains really well for browse pressure. You know, it is fairly heat tolerant. It does well in moisture soils. So those are the three main things for maintaining your perennial plots, specifically clover plots. And these are just a few tips that hopefully help you get more longevity out of your perennial plots. And if you haven't ordered your clover seed already, we love the Pure Trophy Clover Blend from Frigid Forage. You can get it right here. And with this moist weather, well, we should be able to plant it all summer. So hopefully you guys are getting ready for deer season. We know we're excited. Be sure to get your seed and catch us on the next one.